Bruce Adams, I am so glad that you're joining us for this week's segment of Kibbitzing with Kagan. I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Rockville and Gaithersburg, and really lucky to have known Bruce Adams for most of my career here in Montgomery County.
Been a while.
It's your fault. I supported Bruce and was on his kitchen cabinet in 1986 when he first ran for and was elected to the county council. He served there for 8 years through 94. He ran for county executive unsuccessfully, started Bethesda Big Train, established Shirley Povich Baseball Field by Montgomery Mall on Westlake Drive in Bethesda in the late 90s, has brought baseball to Montgomery County in an extraordinary way that has gotten some national attention, and used to be the head of the Office of Community Partnership, and for many years has engaged through OCP and the Fund for Montgomery and so many other ways with bringing people together. Montgomery County has become increasingly diverse, and starting as a kid at Landon and throughout, we both grew up in Montgomery County,
Yeah.
watched the changes and the diversity, and Bruce has seen it all and helped to manage it. So Bruce, thank you. That was a very long introduction. Thank you very much for being part of this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell me, why don't we start with the changes that you've seen over your life, and what you think our biggest advantages and our biggest challenges are in Montgomery County.
Right. Well, Cheryl, we both won the birth lottery. I mean, to be born here in Montgomery County is just so special. This has become a talent magnet for people from across the country and around the world. And I never moved, and all these fabulous people from every corner of the globe have come here to Montgomery County. So a magnificent change. I mean, I enjoyed growing up in Montgomery County. It was great, but nowhere near as fun and exciting and inspiring as it is now with the extraordinary diversity that we have here.
So I don't want to spend a ton of time on your political career because you are so much more than that. But talk about, you were an at-large county council member for 2 terms, 8 years. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you did there that was especially important, and some of what it was like to be an elected official for you?
Yeah. Well, I've gotten lucky all through my life with the people that I meet. And fortunately, in late 1985, I met Ike Leggett. And we decided not to run against each other for those 2 at-large seats, but to run together. And we've been running together ever since we were working to defeat B and D. Thank you for your support in defeating them. So we've been at this for a long, long time. And it was a special honor of my life to know Ike and to be able to run with him, to work with him on the county council, and then work with him at the Office of Community Partnerships. It's so rewarding, as you know, to be a public servant and to be able to make change. When I was in high school, I paid no attention to politics. I couldn't have told you that Gil Goody was our congressman, I'm embarrassed to say. I wasn't very interested in college. And then I took a course from a professor named Eric Goldman, and he wrote a book called Rendezvous with Destiny. And that book was about the progressives at the turn of the last century. And I read this book and I thought, wow, they changed the world. They saw wrong and they fixed it. And that's what I want to do. So one of the things I'm most proud of from my time on the county council, when I ran for office, I said, if I win, we're going to have a community service day. We're going to have a day in Montgomery County where we go roll up our sleeves and help our neighbors. And we've been doing that ever since 1987. And they do it nationally and Make a Difference Day. So I think engaging and empowering others is one of the great experiences I had as a public official. Bethesda was a war zone when I was running. And, I was trying to be friends with the business people and friends with the civic people, and they hated each other.
Yeah.
And I figured out they didn't know each other. So one of the fun things I did was create something we call the Bethesda Action Group. And I brought them all together and said we're going to talk about little things, not big things you're fighting about, but little things. They got to know each other and they got to learn to work together. So I think engaging and empowering others is what I enjoyed the most out of my public service.
That's great. Just to clarify for people who don't know what B and D is, those were two ballot measures that we recently defeated. There were two really bad ideas and the voters agreed and defeated them. So thank you for that. And Community Service Day, what a gift that is every year to clean up a park, paint a health clinic. There's so many different activities and everyone can get involved at some point when there isn't COVID. We can
Right. Get back to that.
Yeah, your story was so interesting on Eric Goldman's book. It's not a book I know, I'll have to check it out. But I also, growing up here, was involved in student government, but never interested in real life politics. And it was a class, and it was first semester freshman year in college. And I realized that, yeah, you can make a difference and help people. So
that book changed my life, just totally changed my life. Rendezvous with Destiny.
That's awesome. I'm going to check it out. Thank you.
Yep.
So talk about the Office of Community Partnership and how you served and established that office with Ike Leggett and some of your priorities and accomplishments there.
Right. So when Ike got elected county executive, he asked me to help, and I helped out on the transition. And we decided to create Office of Community Partnerships. And you know, when Ike ran, he said, "Wow, I just spent the last year going all around the county telling people I want to bring new people to the table. I want to hear new voices." And somebody the other day said to me, "Well, I'm already at the table. Are you going to kick me out?" And I paused, and he let this was his inauguration speech. He let everybody get a little nervous. And then he said, "No, we're going to build a bigger table."
There you go.
So that's what the Office Community Partnership was about, build a bigger table. And we created ethnic advisory groups. There were, County Executive Duncan had advisory groups for the African American and the Asian and the Latino communities. We created them for the Middle Eastern, for the Caribbean, and for the continental African community. We created an advisory group for the faith community. So empowering and engaging others, again, was the theme of the 12 years with Ike at the Office Community Partnership. We created the World of Montgomery Festival and just all kinds of ways for people to volunteer and participate, the Sister Cities program. And it was such a rich, fabulous experience. I mean, I woke up every morning realizing I was going to talk to somebody really interesting, really different from me, who was going to teach me something. And it was just inspiring every day.
So why don't you talk about, it's not just at the table, it's not just being heard, but it's celebrating different cultures and different people's views. So say more about the World of Montgomery Festival and some of the other festivals that OCP helped support.
Right. So the Office Community Partnership and its predecessors, there were always special days for the African American community, for the Latino community, the Asian Lunar New Year's, and the like. And those are great. Those are fabulous. But mostly what you see there are people from that ethnicity, and that's great. But I thought, what's fabulous about Montgomery County is we're all here together. We're not in 10 different little groups. We're all here together. But we do need to learn more about each other, and we do need to have events where we are participating together across the lines of difference. And so that's what the World of Montgomery Festival was about. And the last time we held it at Montgomery College in Rockville, I mean, there were thousands and thousands of people celebrating all the rich heritage, eating all the fabulous food from all the different ethnic groups, and it's just such a warm and welcoming feeling. I stole this from the mayor of Chicago. I heard him saying Chicago should be the most welcoming city in the world. And I was like, yeah, that's a good line. So by the end of the time, Ike and all the council members, and we all talk about Montgomery County is one of the most welcoming communities in all the world. And that's just a great goal. And that's what the World of Montgomery Festival and much of the other work of the Office of Community Partnership is about.
So Bruce, tell us about, I mean, everything you've said sounds so wonderful and idealistic, but sometimes there is a sentiment in some communities of if you win, then I lose. And there's
Yeah.
a zero-sum game in job opportunities or budget grants or anything. Tell us about a time when there was a conflict and how it was addressed.
Oh, there's lots of stories I can't tell, Cheryl. I separated two ladies in my office once who were going at it. Yeah, no,
Uh-oh.
no. I mean, I get, and we always get, and we understand that people are worried about sharing, but that's uh, what what we try. What Ike Leggett was such a perfect leader for was the notion that we're all in this together, and we're all better off if we see that. So I think that we were working constantly understanding people's human nature and their desire for wanting what they want, and that by bringing people together and developing relationships across these lines of difference, you could mitigate some of that. So I'm gonna not give you a specific example and just say that of course that's going to happen.
Sure.
But when it's back to my story in Bethesda, when folks don't know each other, then they really want the good things the other person has, and they really want things for themselves first. When they get to know each other and build lines of trust, then they can work together. Then they can understand, okay, she needs this, he needs that. We can do this. We're stronger together.
It's great. So a lot of folks may not be familiar with Sister Cities. Just give us 1 minute on what it is, where it started in Montgomery County, and how many we've got going now.
Right.
The impact,
So
obviously. Yeah.
this was Ike's idea. Ike, one of the first meetings I had with Ike, he said, we need a sister city program. I was like, we're not a city, we're a county. So, and then I thought, here's back to your last question. Then I thought, oh, great, we're going to pick one city in one country in the whole world and tick off everybody else. Wow, what a bad idea that is. At any rate, there's something called Sister Cities International. I went down there, I did my research, and they said, look, it's not a political thing. It's not government to government. It's not politician to politician. It's citizen to citizen. And so that was good. And then I realized that Maryland has 10 or a dozen sister states, and Washington, D.C., and many cities and counties have multiple. And then I thought, okay, that works. I think Ike and I felt this was a good thing to do. This was a nice way for us to show we care about your community you came from, and we'll get smarter about your community and we'll serve you better. I think that's what we thought. What turned out to be fabulous is the first sister city was Morissan in El Salvador, and the second was Gondar in Ethiopia. And there, in both of those situations, we didn't have so many people. While we had a robust Latin American advisory group, we didn't have a lot of people from Central America, where the people have come from.
Mm.
We have a sister city with El Salvador. All of a sudden, we have 300 new friends. We have
That's
all
great.
these connections. It was incredible. Ike Leggett created the African advisory group, and we didn't have people from Ethiopia.
Mm.
And you get that. These people who come from places where there's civil
We have a
unrest,
large Ethiopian community.
government was nasty to them. The first thing they do when they show up is not, hey, let's go down to City Hall and get involved.
Yeah.
And if you're working 2 or 3 jobs,
Right.
honestly, Montgomery County's white collar Tuesday, the third Tuesday of the month at 7:30 meetings, that's not so great for them either. So we didn't, and not connected to these important groups. And then with sister cities, again, with Ethiopia, we had 300 new friends. So it turned out to be a great engagement tool. Then the next we turned to China, India, and South Korea. There, the great opportunities are more in economic development than the engagement tool. Those communities are already at the table and engaged. So we have 5 sister cities. We kind of put a hold on that because we want to strengthen those sister cities now. And I'm serving on the board of Sister Cities, Montgomery Sister Cities, the nonprofit that we created, and hoping to work with Diane Vu and the Office of Community Partnerships and the county executive.
And Bruce, you left off Israel.
No, I did not.
Oh,
So
Beit Shemesh?
Beit Shemesh, the county executive said, Bruce, we're having Beit Shemesh as a sister city. And I was like, hey, Ike,
We have a problem.
we said we're going to involve the community in picking these. Let's just hold off on that for a second. So we held off on that until we developed the El Salvador sister city.
Right.
At which point, unfortunately, Beit Shemesh, which has this wonderful relationship with the Jewish
Community
here
Relations
in Montgomery
Council.
County and Greater
Yeah.
Washington,
Yeah.
there was a lot of unrest there, and they were on the front page of the New York Times. And we had council members who were not happy with that
Right.
sister city.
Got
So
it.
that was a year where we talked, and then everybody decided maybe we're not going to do this.
Okay.
So Beit Shemesh is still, I think, the Jewish Community Relations Council and others have relations there, but that is not a formal sister city of.
Got it. My incorrect thing. So Bruce, the real love of your life, other than your beautiful wife, Peggy, and your kids, Emily and Hugh.
And a granddaughter. We have a granddaughter,
And
Stella.
granddaughter. Mazel
Yeah.
tov. That's great.
Yeah.
The real love of your life is baseball. So
Baseball and community.
and community. Well, we've covered community. We've covered community partnership and community service day, everything. So we've got to pivot to baseball. So talk about how you came up with the idea of Big Train and briefly just sort of how it's made a difference in Bethesda, in the sports arena, and for young athletes.
Right. So thank you. It's been so much fun. When I left the county council and BCC Baseball appointed me an assistant coach of my 5-year-old son's baseball team, I went out and realized the fields were in terrible shape. And I was like, whoa, I was a council member. I should have known better about this. And the economy was not great. The early 90s was tough. And I thought the government can't just fix all these fields. We need a public-private partnership. So I tried to make that happen. And I went to folks in Bethesda and they said, yeah, we do that. We fix up the fields here in Bethesda. And then I went to folks in the rest of the county and they said, yeah, we need that, but we don't have the money. I wasn't getting anywhere. And then my 5-year-old son, we went on this trip to do a travel book for Fodor's, and he figured out the way to get baseballs was to go to the visiting team bullpen because they didn't have adult supervision and they weren't their balls. And so I'm in Oneonta, New York, near Cooperstown, and I realize I don't know where my son is. Well, I do. I go down to the bullpen, and these guys are telling me about the Shenandoah Valley League. I come back to my wife, and I say, Peggy, if this is anywhere near what this is, we got a Washington Post Sunday magazine article. So we spent the summer of 1996, a lot of weekends in the Shenandoah Valley, and I just fell in love with it. It was both of my passions. It was a sense of community. These kids come in from college kids, play wooden bat baseball, come in from all over the country. The little Newmarket, Virginia, the folks would put them in their house. It'd be a host family. They'd hire them in their business for a job. And then the whole town would show up at night to watch them play baseball. And I was like, I want to do this. So I figured out that my goal of raising money to fix up fields for kids, remember Paul Newman's salad dressing? He made salad dressing and then he sold it and they took the money and he put it into good causes.
Yeah.
It was really clear to me it was more fun to make baseball than salad dressing. So we would make baseball. We would run teams like they had in the Valley. We would get fans to come out. We would make some money, and we would put the money into fixing fields for kids. It worked. We raised, over 12 years before I took the job with Ike, we raised $600,000. We fixed fields from Germantown to Anacostia. Sharon Robinson, Jackie's daughter, and the mayor came out and we dedicated Jackie Robinson Field in Anacostia. It was so much fun. And we're still going. I kind of walked away from it a little bit while I was working for Ike. And then COVID came and hit, and the people at BCC Baseball said, you want it back? And I said, no, I'm 72 years old. I'm retired. I don't want it back. I took it back. It's so much fun. So our Bethesda Community Baseball Club is back. So we call it Small Town Charm, Big League Talent. So these college kids who come in, 16 of them have been to the major leagues. Game 4 of the World Series a week or so ago, two of them hit home runs. Two of our guys who played for us in Bethesda at Shirley Povich Field hit home runs in the World Series. So we have really good baseball players in
Good.
this sort of county fair setting, right there, between your district and Bethesda. So it's
Absolutely.
a perfect setting.
It's great. Very briefly, you and I both have a passion for visiting state capitals.
Yeah.
And during coronavirus, I finished my 50th, my 49th and 50th. And
I was impressed with that. I saw that.
Thank you.
I did beat you by a couple of years,
Yeah,
but
well.
I was impressed.
How many, so you've done all 50 as well.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me how many baseball stadiums you've been to, because that's your other love, is seeing all the baseball stadiums. How many are there and how many have you been to?
I have no idea how many I've been to.
Major League Baseball, haven't you?
200
God.
probably.
Wow.
The cool thing, though, is which baseball fields can you see a state capitol from?
Ooh.
That's what you got to do. South Dakota, there is a great little league ballpark that I went to right next to the state capitol. The best one is Des Moines. You look right across the river and see this from the ballpark and see this magnificent state capitol. So
Nice.
I'm always happiest when I'm in Des Moines.
That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so Bruce, we are going to do the fast five here.
Yeah.
Random questions as we.
You're going to trick me here, right?
Yeah, you're going to do great. So first, what would you say is the greatest accomplishment of your personal or professional career?
I think the empowering and engaging people, especially students. I've had student high school leadership programs that I've done for 30 some years. The most recent one that I do at BCC, I'm about to start my 25th year. I've had 380 kids and they've done 68,000 hours of community service.
Wow.
And they are so powerful and so extraordinary. And I think, so that's what Community Service Day is. That's a passion of my life, is engaging people, particularly young people, in our civic life.
That's great. And that just reminded me that I took a graduate school class with you. You were a great.
I thought about that.
Yeah. I don't remember that I got an A++, but anyway, it's all good.
I should have known you should have gotten an A+. University of Maryland. That's right.
Question 2, how are you staying healthy in the midst of the coronavirus? What are you doing to stay fit?
Yard work.
Good. Okay.
I would say gardening, but I'm not that sophisticated. Mostly it's pulling weeds and the like. But growing your own vegetables is a really fun thing to do.
Very good. Very good.
And walking. Got to walk 30 minutes every day.
There you go. Good for you. So what would you say, in the ideal world, not a day goes by without X, not food or water or shelter, obviously, but what's something that is so fundamental to your existence that you want to do it every single day?
Well, I do want to walk every day, and that happens almost every day. I guess I would say what I said about my job with the Office of Community Partnership, meeting new people who are different, who can make me smarter, is the best. Okay. And I still, even in this COVID world, thank you, Zoom. I still am doing that. And it's so much fun.
Yeah, great. So I'm so curious for your answer to this one, which is the standard, if you could share a meal with anyone, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh boy. Well, one might be Walter Johnson, for whom we named our team after, and who is buried in your district in the historic Rockville Cemetery. But Walter wasn't a big talker, so I should come up with a politician. There's too many possibilities out there. I think I'd like to, maybe I could combine it all and say Walter Isaacson, who has done these extraordinary books, about Jobs and Einstein that are just unbelievable. So that way I would be able to pick the brains of like 5 extraordinary people rather than just one. I'm never going to just give you one, Cheryl.
Okay, that's all right. Last question, Bruce, that I ask everybody. What is your secret hidden talent? What is your superpower? Something you're really good at that most folks can't do?
Well, my superpower is my learning disability. I'm severely dyslexic. School was brutal. I thought I was just a complete loser. And until a sports event changed that, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm okay. And then everything clicked. But still, I'm severely dyslexic. So what I learned at a very young age was if I was going to succeed, if I was going to be able to change things and make things better, I just had to work harder than everybody else.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Bruce Adams, former council member, professor, community activist, community leader, founder of a baseball team, husband, father, friend to many, and just an extraordinary person. It's a pleasure to talk to you. It's really been my honor to know you and work with you in so many different capacities over the years. Thank you for kibitzing with me today.
Thank you, Cheryl. You're great. My pleasure.
Thank you.